Great. So now we will have walking through alternative housing models that we can also call community-led housing project, as Nina said before. And before going to the atlas of project that I want to present to you today, I just want to frame for you which are the main criticalities about the right to housing today in order to have a map, a clear mental map. So we have different domain of criticalities for housing. Let's start from social domain. We know that now we are today in a society that is called mature society because, well, we all know that family has changed. There is a big social fragmentation, and also in the big cities, and a growing relational poverty and the issue of solitude. Then from an economic and political domain, there is this shrinking of right to housing and an increasing of what it is called housing commodification. That means that a house should be a common good, a good that has a value that is a use value, a basic that answer to a basic human need. But today, as all we know, a housing is an economical and financial investment. So, and this produce a lot of criticalities for the affordability of housing. More than that, all around Europe, we have also a problem that is like a political problem, because the public government are no longer able to answer to the housing question, and this is happening still now almost everywhere around Europe. From an architectural domain, like today, in Southern Europe, we know that is also maybe worst, but we have our building stock that is obsolete from a typological and energetic point of view, and is no longer able to welcome our lifestyle and our new family configuration. And of course, this is also an environmental criticality. This is a very complicated diagram, but that is done from a great researcher that she's Sonia Arbaci, that actually framed very well after this talk. Maybe if you're interested in it, just go through it carefully and you will understand something, because at first it's very difficult to read, but this is to remember that we are in Southern Europe, we are in a housing system that is called a familistic or residual welfare. That means that like the central of our criticalities arrives also because our state pointed a lot on private property of the house, and this creates today many issues, many problems. Because the property is very fragmented, and also because it is very in the hands of few. So after framing the criticalities, which are the actors that produce answer to this? And the actors that I want to introduce you today are communities or housing no-profit so back to what was telling Nina, we are in community-led housing or housing by people, and why they are important in order to answer to housing criticalities. Because as the state are no longer able to answer to the housing issues, as the house is a commodify asset. The community from below, so bottom up or grassroots, they are producing not-for-profit housing, producing new tools that widen the access to housing on a solidaristic base. Today in Europe, but globally, there is a big explosion of community-led housing, and it's interesting to read this sentence by John Turner that say, in English, the word housing can be a noun or a verb. In the former case, it referred to a product, the house. In the latter, it described the process or activity of housing. Well, all the project that I'm going to introduce you belong to this last one, the process of housing, because it is, maybe you have already listened to the word like co-housing, cooperative housing, collaborative housing, collective housing. Well, in Europe, as you can see in this map, there are many projects created from below, and this is a map that can be explored more than this. It is quite close, so you can imagine like how many projects you can have. You can see in Europe. And finally, now we start our walk through the Atlas of Community-Led Housing Project. We start from Barcelona because it's in the last years it has been an incredible fire of new production of community-led housing, and we start also from one of the most famous case, so it can be also easy to find it on the website and in the books, so in case you want to get deep on that. And this is La Borda. It is like the first new cooperative that has been built in Barcelona. It's interesting because it started from below, so with a local community of a neighborhood called Sants. In this neighborhood, community was already active. There was a lot of civic activism, and arrived in a point in which they decided to squat a former industry that was in that neighborhood because they claim for public space, they claim for community space, and they decide also to work on a new model of housing that could be affordable and could be inclusive and create new spaces, new typological spaces for people. So they decided to use this legal form that is the undivided co-ownership housing cooperative or right to use housing cooperative. That it's interesting because here, as you can see in the map, in the diagram, like the ownership, it is of the housing cooperative as the ownership of the building, while in this case the land is owned by the public administration. The residents are member of the cooperative, and they, in order to entrance and to live into this building, they have to pay like an entrance fee, and then they pay a monthly fee that is below market rate. They has been able to produce an affordable pilot project, because this has been like a pioneer project in Barcelona, and they create like a network to do that. Before everything, they involve the public, the municipality of Barcelona, and they create this relation in order to have the access to public land for a monthly fee. Sorry. Then they decide also to develop a network with different kind of financing instrument, not just with traditional bank, but also ethical banks and microcredits, and also social bond. And then, well, they decide also to ask to actor of social economy, social market, to be the developers and the builders of the building itself. La Borda is a spectacular architecture, in my opinion, but not just in my opinion, because in 2023, last year, it won the the Miss van der Rohe Prize for Contemporary Architecture. That is one of the most prestigious prize of architecture in Europe. And it is very peculiar because like having a housing project, a cooperative housing project, to be like the first prize of architecture in Europe, it means that housing is today under the public light again and in the political agenda again. Here you can see some of the collective spaces, because one of the main peculiarity of this building and also the other cooperative around Barcelona that now we will go through, is that there are the private apartments that are designed in a way in which they could be flexible. And then there are many community spaces, communal spaces, and some spaces also open to the city. Here you can see the interior of some apartment, and at the bottom on the left you can see this wooden frame that is one of the peculiarity of this building, because, well, it has been the higher wooden building of Spain for different years, and this wooden frame allow flexibility among apartments, because like with these portals they easily add or remove a room from an apartment. That means that maybe like I enter in a La Borda, I've got 2 kids, and so I need 2 rooms at least. Then my kids go to the university, so I do not need any longer an extra room, so I give to my neighbor that had the new kids. So it is an architectural device that helps like the community evolution during time, and also a cultural apparat, because can you imagine like to give a room of your house to your neighbor? Like, it's not something easy to think, but they work also on this side. Something very important to frame here in La Borda is Barcelona itself, the municipality of Barcelona, because La Borda has been the first new cooperative in Barcelona, and after that they built 4 generations of cooperative, and they are continuing building new right-to-use housing cooperative. And this is because the municipality of Barcelona decided to produce several tools to support this production. First of all, they made this housing right plan, and they produce also like urbanistic tools and administrative tools. Well, in all around Europe, this right-to-use cooperative is going fast, is spreading a lot, and there are many networks. Here it is already old. It is from the last year, and I need already to put new projects that are going on. Well, this is as La Borda has been like the first project, a pilot project that could be reproduced, scale up, because it turns into a model. And here you can see a model, housing model is made of a legal model, the right to use cooperative, an economical model, architectural, and a governance model. And of course, the public actor is very important. Here there is La Balma, still in Barcelona. It is sister of La Borda, and it is the second housing cooperative, right-to-use housing cooperative built in Barcelona by the same architect that I haven't named yet, that is La Col Cooperative, Cooperativa de Arquitectos de Barcelona, that they are it's a group of architects that are very, very involved. We can say one of the subjects that trigger this new cooperativism in Barcelona. And as you can see here, they studied also here possibilities to make a flexible apartment with many public spaces, communal spaces. Still in Barcelona, this is another cooperative. It's interesting because it is the Spain first feminist and LGBTQ housing cooperative that has been started in 2018 and it is still in progress. But it's interesting because it's not just a right to use housing cooperative, but they also has these peculiar members that decide to stay together. Here's still in Spain, but we go to Madrid because there is like a spreading of all these housing cooperative, right to use housing cooperative in Spain. And this is interesting from an architectural point of view because it's not a new building as the other one that I've just shown you, but it is a reuse, an adaptive reuse of a previous building that was underused or disused, and they have been able to create a great, I would say, space for living and affordable, of course, because all these projects are the base is to make a house accessible, so affordable. So now we left the sun in Barcelona and we go in southern Germany, in Freiburg. And I want to introduce you a big subject, a big player, let's say, in Europe of the affordability for housing, that is the Miethäuser Syndikat. Sorry for my German. And the Miethäuser Syndikat, let's say, it is the inspiration, I would say, that Nina or Dimitra or Zoe, please correct me, but I would say that is the inspiration for many community-led housing projects all over Europe. Briefly, their story. We go back to the 90s. In Germany, we had a strong financialization of housing. And we have a group of anarchist and squatter that decide to stop squatting and create a model to access housing in a legal way, but that use the neoliberalist tools like the LTD. I don't know how to translate it in maybe in Greek. That is, it's not easy to understand.
ΕΠΕ. Εταιρεία περιορισμένης ευθύνης. ΕΠΕ.
Exactly. Perfect. Thanks, Dimitra. And well, they use the LTD not to produce economical profit, but social profit. So they decide, as they say, we play together with the shark of the market in order to take out of the market buildings and land and to make them decommodified. So no, the building they use, they are no longer available on the market on the long term, and affordable, of course. They start in the 90s, and today there are more than 200 projects around Germany, and some cousin in other places in Europe. This is the model in which the legal form, the model in which they work. And I want to tell you just one thing because it's interesting. So you have to imagine that there is headquarters of Mietoise Syndicate in Freiburg, and they found the first LTD. Then each housing project, each group of people that want to found its own housing, they found their own LTD. The headquarter LTD has a fundamental role, and fundamental role, that is a veto right in case of sale of the building. So if a housing community one day want to sell the building which they are living, they are not allowed, because the pact with the Mietoise Syndicate is to keep the building out of the market on the long run, and to make it accessible and affordable for also the next generation. Well, now here you can see like a map. The yellow dot are where the Mietoise Syndicate is, or where there are the sisters project, like we have in Austria Habitat, in France Legacoop, in Holland Legacoop, and in UK we have Radical Routes. All the orange square are the project that has been inspired by the Mietoise Syndicate. Another important case that I want to bring is a community land trust. We go to Liverpool in UK, and it is the Granby for Street Community Land Trust. A community land trust is, I go here, it's another model that like the aim is always the same, or is to decommodify land and building, and to make it affordable, and to keep it out the market on the long run. So the base of the community land trust is to divide the ownership of the land that is owned by a trust that is composed by local administration, the future residents, and the local community, that has the veto right in case of sale, like the Mietoise Syndicate. While the ownership can have different options, can be an association, can be a single family, a developer, etc. This case of community land trust is particular, because like it is the first urban community land trust, because it has been always used in rural area in order to preserve common land. But in this case, this community of Liverpool decided to use it in order to preserve a neighborhood in Liverpool, while the municipality want to produce, let's say, a luxury neighborhood. They decided to resist and to keep the neighborhood alive, the community alive. And finally, after several years, because this process started in the 80s, after several years, in 2011, they decided to structure themselves in a community land trust. And the municipality of Liverpool donate to the community land trust 14 Victorian elegant detached house in order to go on with the community land trust project. They call an interesting architectural group from London that are named Assemble Collective, and Assemble has been like the right choice because they decided to create a participatory building site. So they self-built together with the local community part of the new housing, and also they structure like a process of co-project, participatory project, and decided to use 4 of the 14 housing for community spaces. Yeah, it has been interesting because one of these spaces is a workshop, and where they produce the ceramics used then to refurbish the housing. Has been self-built by the resident together with Assemble. And with this project, they give to work with 2 people of the neighborhood, and that now work inside the Granby workshop. And they also win another important prize, that is the Turner Prize for Contemporary Art. They set some strategy for the architectural project and for the building site that are very interesting. And also community land trust, it is very spread around Europe, but also around the world. And even if it is something that started in the US and arrived in Europe, in UK and in the Northern Europe, now it is also spreading in Southern Europe. There are new projects in Catalonia and also in Italy, in Turin. Here I go quick because I want to go straight to Italy. That time is almost gone. Here I just want to point out a feature of a Swiss cooperative, that is Crafter Cooperative, that is also come from civic activism, from a squatting activism in Zurich back in the 90s always. And it's I just want to tell you something about how in Switzerland they've been able to innovate the housing typologies, because this is an important point that can hinder the obsolescence of our building stock. So they invent a new way to live together. So maybe a lot of us, maybe while we were students, used to live in a collective house, or also while we are worker, we live in a collective house. But usually our collective houses are not properly designed. There are not proper space for a collective, for like community living. And finally, it is a disaster. And after this experience, we want to buy a home private because I want to have my space. Why? And it is like this in Italy for sure, but I see some smile, so I guess it's like this in many places. And so like this cooperative, but many cooperative, as we see La Borda, start to think also to new housing typologies. This is interesting because it's a cluster. A cluster, how does it work? It is a big apartment. There are private spaces. The minimum space is a room with a little kitchenette and a bathroom. Or for a bigger family, maybe there is a room, a little living, a little kitchen, and a little bathroom. But then they can access to these big community spaces, big communal spaces that are shared among these families. Here we can see like the biggest cluster we have in Europe, that is a Hallen cluster. And I just show you the photo of this. Well, this is the interior of a Hallen cluster. It is a very big open space in which every family built up, like here you can see, a private room in this way or in many other ways. But they share a kitchen. Maybe in this big apartment they have 2-3 kitchens, and they share many spaces in a very creative way, I would say. This is also like a way to arrive from the terrace to the lower terrace, and this is a big cluster in Geneva. Well, now I just go quick because I want to arrive in Italy, but in the meanwhile you can look at the beautiful architecture produced by cooperative housing all around. Here we are in Berlin. And finally, in Italy. In Italy, we have a long and influential history of alternative housing alternative. And as we have more than 27, now we can say more than 27 co-housing projects, we have eco-villages, and we have a lot of housing cooperative, more than 8,000 buildings. We have some national network that doesn't work very well, that is the National Co-Housing Network and the National Eco-Villages Network. We have very traditional architecture, so we need to push a bit more in order to have a new housing typology. But something that I want to talk to you is a very important tradition that is housing cooperative and mutualism in Italy. Because in Italy, they represent the archetype of Italian shared living, and they have been founded in the 19th century. As I was telling you, we have more than 8,000 cooperatives and 40,000 dwellings. It's not just about housing, but we have consumer, worker, social, and cultural cooperative. And going through the history, they started from the worker mutual aid, and they go through a process of commodification. And so today we have, well, still this heritage of
Oh no.
So we lost this tradition.
You're back.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, sorry, but here it's very bad weather. I just close with this, even if like we have this rooted cooperative tradition, housing cooperative, right to use housing cooperative tradition as the one that has just born in Barcelona. In Italy, it is very rooted, but now it's in danger. It's in a moment in which we need to preserve it and to improve it. And so there is new light on it, because there are young generation that started to look at the cooperative as a new way to live together. And we have several projects now. The biggest are in Milan, Abitare Fluido, Milan and Turin, La Foresta in Trentino, in the Dolomites. And then we have also the Union of the National Union of Universitary Students. And also, like, it's improving this cooperative way. Also, ANCI, that is the National Union of minor city villages. Well, there is much more to say, but I think I'm already over and over the time that I have. So I stop here, and in case I'm available for questions.